In a blockchain-based system, we could all be using the same source of truth, the same distributed ledger, but then we can choose our experiences. So different consumers may choose different business models, a different way to aggregate and filter content that really satisfy their needs.
I realized that technology, particularly blockchain, fintech, has a huge potential to address societal challenges. For example, like transparency, data security, and of course, efficiency in government services.
I could have my identity on a blockchain, but how do you verify that my identity and my account hasn't been taken over and somebody has my credential? That is a real world event that often, of course, a blockchain cannot capture.
Hello and welcome to Connected. I'm Tomasz Koper, sitting in for Divya Gopalan. It's been over a decade since the word blockchain broke out from the narrow circle of researchers and cryptographers and became a household name. It was propelled to global fame by the cryptocurrency Bitcoin. The technology has gone through cycles of boom and bust in public perception, much like the cryptocurrencies that run on it. Blockchain is a polarizing topic. Some see its features as solutions to many of the world's problems. Others as double-edged swords that make the technology too costly to implement in practice. So today we'll be taking a closer look at the uses of blockchain beyond cryptocurrencies. To help us understand the technology better, we're joined by Professor Christian Catalini from Cambridge, Massachusetts, who is the founder of the MIT Cryptoeconomics Lab and a research scientist at the MIT Sloan School of Management. And joining us from Taiwan is Legislator Ju-Chun, who also goes by JC, and is an associate professor at the Graduate Institute of Networking and Multimedia at National Taiwan University. Christian, I want to start with you. For many of our viewers, blockchain might still be a complex and abstract concept, and I know that I'm asking a lot here, but could you briefly explain what the technology is and what kind of potential it may hold in different areas?
At its core, blockchain technology is a general purpose technology. Think about the electricity, the steam engine, the internet, and now AI. These are technologies that are quite transformative and take a long time to unfold. But what is blockchain? Fundamentally, a lot of the things you're hearing, a lot of the applications that people are excited about, really have at their core, at their center, a distributed ledger. Not that different than double entry bookkeeping and how we revolutionized accounting, many, many centuries ago. It's a way for a community, a network, a group of banks, financial institutions, or other economic actors or creators to really record information on a shared ledger, update it, following some common rules, and use that to build new types of marketplaces, new types of digital applications.
Well, JC, you're both a legislator and an educator, but you also founded a number of startups in your career. What pushed you to go into politics, and how does blockchain sort of interact with what you do on a daily basis?
My transition into politics was kind of accidentally, but it's also really grateful because it's kind of like driven by a desire to bridge the gap between technological innovation, technological island. However, we have kind of a little bit a traditional style of policy making and public policy. And I realized that technology, particularly blockchain, fintech, has a huge potential to address societal challenges. For example, like transparency, data security, and of course, efficiency in government services by bringing my hands-on experience from tech startups into the legislative process. I aim to create politics or policies that foster innovation while ensuring accountability and equity. Blockchain is the central. However, it's decentralization. However, it's the central of a lot of topics. For example, like medical data, anonymous, and also healthcare, fintech, financial inclusion, or even governance.
Well, I want to dig into a lot of the things that you mentioned just now, but before, I am curious about Christian's work with the MIT Cryptocurrencies Lab, Cryptoeconomics Lab, I'm sorry. Is it just cryptocurrencies? Does cryptoeconomics go beyond that? Could you explain what you do in your lab?
Yes, this is often a common misunderstanding that you can kind of separate the underlying technology from its really distributed and decentralized nature. When we will look back 10 years from now, most of the progress will have been done through systems that do base some of their primitives, some of their inner workings on cryptocurrencies. But we shouldn't just think of cryptocurrencies as financial, investment, or speculative assets. It's a much broader concept. People often talk about tokenization, essentially a digital representation of a financial asset, a real estate asset, a creative asset. Think about, a piece of art. It could be much more. It could be intellectual property on a distributed ledger. That aspect of taking something that often exists only in the real world or in the past used to exist only in the database of a single firm can now reside on a truly interoperable infrastructure. What do I mean by that? I'm going to use an experiment in payments as an example, mostly because most of these applications are starting within financial services. Today, when you're trying to send or receive money from the provider of one digital wallet to a different one, often you cannot. And that's by design. Digital wallet providers and banks curate a wallet garden within their user base. But on a blockchain, all of those wallets, all of those financial institutions, all of those crypto exchanges and more can send and receive from each other. That level of interoperability is a deep change that will reshape every industry, from real estate to the arts, to much more, even medical records and information related to that.
Well, before we move on, I want us to take a look at the size and the division of the blockchain market. According to a 2022 study by Grandview Research, over 37% of the global blockchain market belongs to the financial services category. Following that are healthcare and logistics, which many see as industries with great potential for blockchain applications. At the same time, governments are also looking at blockchain in their efforts to combat data breaches and enhance the security of sensitive information. Well, JC, on your website, you refer to yourself as the tech legislator. What role do you see blockchain playing in ensuring data integrity and security in sectors like healthcare or government services? Because it might seem somewhat counterintuitive to look for security solutions in an inherently transparent technology.
By day one, jump into my new role and have my new hat here in Legislative Yuan, which is the parliament in the Republic of China, which is Taiwan. We kind of made a first modification of e-signature bill. And it's kind of like a bipartisan or tripartisan effort. And in May 15th, the modification, the first time ever modification of e-signature bill have been passed. And it's the first modification after this ancient law in 22 years, the first time it got a latest modification. And in the modification of the bill, the e-signature bill, it kind of embed the support and the spirit of blockchain, which is the e-signature will have to have a timestamp, and also it could support biometric data with privacy protect. So in the near future, Taiwan will kind of forget about the physical stamp. We can use e-signature, and also maybe will support the signature on blockchain, because the native signature on blockchain has a timestamp. So this is a one tiny example. For me, as a tech legislator, I would love to keep propose and also keep contributing. So I view blockchain as a transformative tool for ensuring data integrity and security.
Christian, are governments around the world, maybe specifically the United States where you're based, also adopting blockchain as some solution to some of the problems of governance?
I think different entities from state ones to federal ones have been exploring the technology. For example, California issues the mobile driver's license that is it's a real implementation of decentralized identity. So I think you're starting to see these examples where governments are looking at this as a technology to lower cost, to enable new use cases, and often to empower citizens. When you bring an identity on a blockchain, you can, for example, enable some functionality without revealing your private information. For example, you can prove that you're of age to access a certain service without revealing your date of birth. These are very basic applications, but there's going to be many more over the next few years. Again, once you have a distributed ledger in place and everybody can read and write with permission to it, you can really reinvent a number of services that are based on identity, attributes of identity, records, whether they're financial records or healthcare records or ownership records, again, real estate being an example. These are all aspects of society where today we really rely on centralized solutions.
JC, you mentioned, and Christian as well, some of the benefits for end users. Not using a seal when I go to the bank, from personal experience, I can't wait for that to happen. But what practical benefits can taxpayers expect from implementing blockchain besides digital signatures?
Yes, with blockchain established in government services, taxpayers can expect greater transparency and autonomous and also traceability to make them to pay the tax more convenient and with more efficiency. Public funds could be tracked in real world, in real time, reducing corruption and ensuring proper resource allocation. For example, if you look at a DeFi service or something like Gitcoin, there are a lot of new way to allocate budget or allocate funds and allocate resource. And with a really complicated mathematics. However, with the smart contract, with the funds on chain, you can do it really easy and quickly. So processes such as welfare, distribution, and tax filing will become more efficient and error-free. So thanks to smart contracts and decentralization and the decentralized verification system, we always say that don't trust, just verify. So if we have a decentralization, smart contract, blockchain technology in taxpayer or tax system as a government services, I believe it will be more error-free and more, with more efficiency. So citizens would gain trust in government.
I'm glad you mentioned trust, digital trust specifically, because it features in this next voice that I want to show you. Blockchain technology has a wide range of potential applications, promising to serve as a cornerstone of transparent and secure infrastructures in many industries. One of its key roles, though, is fostering digital trust, an increasingly vital need as industries continue to shift online. Our producer Fred Xie spoke with Turing Space, a tech startup founded in 2020 to explore some of the technology's future challenges and proposed solutions. Take a look.
2020 was a time when blockchain was synonymous with cryptocurrencies and NFTs. But Jeff Hu, a UC Berkeley engineering master's student, was researching ways to use the distributed database technology to create a much needed service for his university.
I start talking to school saying, why don't you put your certificates on my blockchain technology so I make it globally accessible and verifiable. So that's where things start. And I went to the Berkeley Law School to get our first contracts.
That year, Jeff and his friend in Taiwan, Henry Hung, co-founded Turing Space and based the company in Taipei. They developed a digital trust network leveraging blockchain technology to tackle complex certification across industries.
Many people ask us why you are not to issue your cryptocurrency. And I think Jeff and me all know we want to influence people and we want to influence the society and we want to do something it can change the world. So for us to do something we can impact the world is more than we can make money.
Turing Space has since expanded into other ventures, including a collaboration with the World Health Organization. They provide digital certification services for the WHO's Partnership for Maternal, Newborn, and Child Health Initiative.
So they said, Jeff, can you help us issue to 150 countries with just one click? And 12,000 certificate goes out to each of the country, and holder just get their certificate by email, by mobile message, and they can use it right away.
According to Mordor Intelligence, the global blockchain as a service market is projected to grow from approximately $1.5 billion in 2024 to $3.4 billion by 2029. But Jeff says convincing companies to take on the technology remains a challenge.
So I think one of them will be appreciating and transforming the traditional industries. The people will feel like, issuing paper-based documents are so easy. It's a routine. We get used to it. It's a habit. But to change their mind, it actually takes a lot of time. And sometimes it doesn't work. So we need to find out the right go-to-market strategy.
One of blockchain's biggest drawbacks is the energy it consumes to drive the computational power needed to validate transactions. Blockchain platforms are working to become more energy efficient, but in the meantime, Turing Space founders say they are trying to offset some of the environmental impact through their services.
For every certificate we issue, it actually saves 49 grand of the carbon dioxide emission. So in terms of the printing and deliver of the certificates, 49 grand is actually equivalent to a grown tree, a 10-year grown tree, which can absorb 1.5 days.
Blockchain have once again come in the spotlight due to the soaring popularity and prices of tokens like cryptocurrencies.
Blockchain isn't just for token. It's only 1% of the application in the token. There are 99% of the potential blockchain can do, and that's what we are exploring.
He hopes Turing Space can lead by example and instill the idea that blockchain can be seen beyond the allure of a quick buck and create lasting value for society.
For the full version of that video, visit our YouTube channel or the TaiwanPlus website. Christian, we've seen startups like Turing Space tackle challenges using blockchain as a solution. What are some of the most exciting or innovative applications of blockchain that might not be obviously clear to our viewers?
I would say that some of the most exciting applications really range from traditional sectors, take real estate, where tokenized assets allow for fractionalized ownership and really reinvent what does it even mean to own a house. Do you need to own, the entirety of your house or a part of it as you're funding it through a mortgage, to much more innovative use cases in the creative industries. Non-fungible tokens or NFTs took the world by storm a little while ago, but I think are really poised to reshape the relationship between creators and their audiences worldwide. I think over the next few years, you will see many of the networks that we use every day, from social media to messaging, to creator economy platforms where musicians or writers and photographers and others share their content and creations, be reinvented with this technology. At its core, what is truly novel and what gets economists like me excited about it is the ability to shape a new marketplace where demand meets supply in a novel way. we can now create these digital marketplaces without assigning control to a centralized intermediary. Again, if you think about all the platforms that you use every day, typically there's one entity that gets to decide who gets to post, what content is displayed, which creators or content gets prominence. In a blockchain-based system, we could all be using the same source of truth, the same distributed ledger, but then we can choose our experiences. So different consumers may choose different business models, or different way to aggregate and filter content that really satisfy their needs. It's a broader change in how we consume digital content, how we transact it, how we buy it, how we monetize it if we're a creator.
Well, JC, in Taiwan, we've seen a lot of talk, a lot of discussions about AI. AI is the next hot topic here. Do you think that there is a convergence between those two technologies, blockchain and AI? And what can we expect from those two interacting in the future?
In Taiwan, we're talking about should we make a copyright free, and should we make every content to be trained by large language model for free? If we have a system like a copyright and verification on blockchain, so imagine that every large language model consume data and train the data, train the content, leave some a kind of like a traceable proof. Then later on, the copyright owner can get some benefit from the result made by large language model. Blockchain can do that. So this convergence could revolutionize industry, not only in large language model, but also healthcare. When AI-powered diagnostic combined with blockchain-secured patient records, it could be enhance accuracy and also protect privacy. Similarly, for example, like in finance, smart contracts on the blockchain could enable more sophisticated AI-driven financial services. So in my point of view, it's all connected. It will be everything running on the digital economy layer, which the founder of NVIDIA, Jensen, already mentioned. Digital economy will be the center of the world in the near future. It will be a whole new layer of economy, and it will be 10 times or 100 times compared with our physical layer of economy.
Well, all of this is sounding enticing, to say the least, but I do have reservations. And Christian, I want to ask you about some of the challenges in adoption of blockchain technology across different industries, starting with scalability. Blockchain transactions tend to be slower than traditional transactions in a centralized system. Can systems like based on blockchain scale to meet demands of a big system with thousands and millions of users?
Yeah, so the scalability issue is actually a common misconception. It was true, maybe 8 years ago, but today these systems can be scaled in many different ways. They can be scaled vertically, they can be scaled horizontally through parallelization. I mean, we've seen a similar progress with compute. And it's not surprising that the different engineers and developers building in this ecosystem really found workarounds to some of the original limitations. Even with Bitcoin, which was historically limited at 7 transactions per second, which is now really comparable to, say, what Visa and MasterCard can do during the peak holiday season in every single moment, can now scale pretty much above and beyond traditional legacy systems with these scaling solutions. So the scaling challenges have been solved. And now for a long time, a lot of the privacy challenges have also been solved. People often worried about if everything needs to be public, how can we build new systems on top of this technology? What is really left is a series of last mile issues. The last mile is at a very high level, the bridge between a digital record on the blockchain, which has all the benefits that we've been talking about, and a physical record somewhere else in the real world. It could be the actual house where you have a real estate title. It could be, if you're running a stable coin, the actual funds, the dollars or pounds or euros held in a reserve to back those digital tokens. That bridge between the offline world of the traditional economy and the digital economy that, of course, Jensen is talking about is sometimes very fragile. And so typically where these systems have broken in the past and they will break in the future is at that important junction between the digital record, which we know can be very low cost, very efficient, very transparent, very precise, and its actual real-world representation. A great example of this is identity. I could have my identity on a blockchain, but how do you verify that my identity and my account hasn't been taken over and somebody has my credential? That is a real-world event that often, of course, a blockchain cannot capture.
Well, you mentioned advances in compute. Does that mean that energy requirements are no longer a bottleneck as they were a few years ago?
Correct. That has also been solved. There's a number of different consensus protocols that have different trade-offs. When people think about, compute and energy requirements, they typically think about Bitcoin. And Bitcoin has made those choices because it's a system that really prioritizes decentralization. And so it's energy intensive. But even with Bitcoin, miners are moving more and more towards renewable energy sources. So Bitcoin is becoming a lot greener. But systems like Ethereum and many others are using proof of stake. And proof of stake is a lot more efficient on the computational side, of course, trading off other dimensions of security. So what's really nice to see, now I've been in this space for more than 10 years, is that whenever there's a challenge, whenever there's a friction, people have designed different solutions.
Gentlemen, it's been a very interesting conversation. I've learned a lot today, hopefully our viewers as well. Thank you once more to Professor Christian Catalini from Cambridge, Massachusetts, the founder of the MIT Cryptoeconomics Lab and research scientist at MIT Sloan School of Management, and from Taiwan, Ju-Chun, legislator and associate professor at the Graduate Institute of Networking and Multimedia at National Taiwan University. Thank you for being on the program. And for our viewers everywhere, it's been good to have your company. If you've enjoyed today's episode or have anything you would like to add to the dialogue, join the conversation on our social media. And remember, stay informed, stay engaged, and stay connected.